to the rule in the underlying bill. Mr. Speaker, first it was repealing patients' rights, then it was a budget resolution with no budget. Every one of us in this chamber was elected to Congress with a goal of creating jobs and growing our economy. Yet there hasn't been any talk about that. And today the Republican leadership has brought to the floor another piece of political posturing that takes us away from the goal of creating jobs for millions of Americans and establishing economic stability and growth. Rather than wasting time bringing these bills to the floor, we should be working to develop innovative, bipartisan solutions to create jobs, reduce the deficit, and put our economy back on track. We can all agree that our campaign finance system is broken. In every election, more and more dollars are spent by wealthy corporations and special interests on campaigns. I know a lot of my friends wanted to turn the televisions off by the end of the last campaign. But ending the presidential campaign fund would only further breach that trust. Recent polls have found that the public overwhelmingly believes that money buys elections, 5-1 in some polls, and it's no surprise because election spending has gone up fourfold between 2006 and 2010 congressional elections. With a voluntary $3 individual contribution, the presidential campaign fund is a modest part of the answer to the nation's campaign finance needs, not the problem. It's a way to include the people's voice in our government by honoring small donations and helping restore the people's faith in democracy. Nearly all presidential candidates from both parties over 35 years have used this fund as a way to reduce the emphasis on fundraising and special interests. Our democracy in its current form would cease to exist if only the rich and powerful could influence public officials. I ask you today, when the middle class is suffering and job creation is our #1 goal, why do we continue to talk about giving more power to big money contributors for presidential campaigns? After the Supreme Court's terrible decision on Citizens United, we need the exact opposite of this bill. True, reasonable campaign finance reform. That's how democracy is restored and people are empowered. The People's House should not be spending its time cutting off the connection. I asked for 15 seconds.
Gentlemen, an additional 30 seconds.
Thank you. The People's House should not be spending its time cutting off the connection of the people of this country to the White House. Yes, our presidential campaign finance system is broken. It needs to be repaired, not eliminated, so we can find a fair way of electing our leaders. I urge a no vote on the rule and the bill, and I yield back the